In part two of this animation project, and the first part was creating the animation of the bird's wing flapping, and the rest will be going over how to make this kind of background looping behind the bird. So in this project, as we kind of look at the finished product here, you have two shapes. You have a foreground and a middle ground. Foreground is this bottom layer here, and then the middle ground is the hills. And the foreground is a little bit longer than the middle ground, and that's so that it moves a little bit faster of a pace than the middle ground, as it's a little further away from us. So the illusion there being that perspective, things further away move a little bit slower. So if I'm picking this up from the start, I'm just going to go ahead and take these layers that I created and delete them so that I can show you how to go through this process. So first off, maybe you want to change the size of your bird, maybe you want to scale it down, maybe change the position. You could do that. You could always copy and paste your bird, Control C, Control V, and have multiple birds. Maybe I have one that's like further away, and so it's a little bit smaller, and one that's bigger and a little bit closer to me. And they're kind of cruising together, maybe down south for the winter. So anyway, it's going to add two new layers here, layer 2 and layer 3. So let's call these ones foreground, and then layer 3 would be the mid ground, and then we are good to go. So I'm going to add a frame at the beginning of each. I'll start with the foreground shape. I'm going to take my pencil tool and I'm going to change it to a brownish type color. I'm going to make my weight 5, and just going to go across, going to kind of start a little bit outside the edge of my stage here, and just kind of make sort of like a rocky type shape that goes along the edge, goes around the outside, and then back to the beginning. So again, whatever happens out here doesn't really matter much. It's mostly just what happens inside of the stage area here that matters. So next I'm going to take my fill bucket, go to my fill color, try and choose the same brown that we had for your outline, so that when I fill this, it should hopefully fill in and we don't see the outline. Because if the outline color is different than the fill color, when we double this graphic and move it over here and moves across, you're going to have a line that's going straight through it, and so that's going to kind of make it not very realistic. So if you want, you can add other things to this. You can draw different things like plants or texture or anything like that. So if you want to do any of those kind of things, you could. Maybe I will add kind of just like maybe some little grass kind of sprouts, or actually I got to change my pencil color if I want to do that. Little kind of grass bits or like a plant or something like that kind of coming out of the ground here. You can add little things like that, like I said, rocks or plants or anything could be kind of growing out of your scene as they kind of move across. So, could be trees or anything you want. So now what I'm going to do is, once you have this all set, I'm going to expand the frame here, so that it has this much space to work with. And then I'm going to add in a tween, but not until after I copy all this, right? So I want to take this foreground, and I'm going to select the whole thing, and then I'm going to hit Command C and then Command V, or Control if you're on your Chromebook. And then I move this over and try and make sure that it's lined up correctly. So if I look at it here, it looks like I'm a little on the low side. Going to kind of move it up. Oops, got to take my cursor tool back. Going to move it up just a little bit. And then maybe I will just kind of take this shape here at the end, maybe use my path cursor tool to kind of like blend this edge together a little bit. So just kind of like taking this and pulling it down so it's not so straight up and down. Anyways, so that looks good. I'm going to zoom back a little bit. And so there we go. So just add in a tween, and then I'm going to go to the end and move this frame all the way over so it's right about where this ends. So I know that this kind of curve up is right before the edge of my stage. So I need my cursor tool back, and then like I said, so I'm going to kind of almost mark it with my mouse here. So I want this to come all the way back and then be right there so it moves into the same kind of spot. And so that when I play it, that will work out to be kind of like a complete loop action will happen there. So won't really be able to tell it that well until we export it. So middle ground layer, so the one key trick with this is you want to make sure your middle ground layer is a little bit shorter than your foreground layer. So I'm going to kind of have like a hill that goes down and then up and then down and then up. And then I want to make sure it goes down one last time here. And then I'm going to go behind this layer and kind of try to close up that pencil line. Let's see if it'll let me fill. Ooh, nice, first try. All right, so well, a little issue with that is that it's the same exact color as the green on my plant. So maybe I want to change this green and make it a little bit lighter. And so it's different from my plant, so it stands out a little bit. But then I will probably want to get rid of the outline on this shape. So let's see if I can just, delete the outline, because I don't want that to be a line there that kind of goes across. So anyway, so let's see. So I need to make this now, make sure that this moves over and is still wide enough to cross this stage. So let's bring out the space here for this, and I'll add another tween in. And then if I slide this over a little bit, because I need there to be in this first spot, it's a hill coming down. So I need this hill coming down to be over here. So I'm going to slide it over, but what I'm seeing is that it's not quite wide enough to still cover the entire stage. So I'm going to need to kind of like stretch this a little bit here, but that is a little bit too much, because if it's that big, it is only a little bit shorter than my background shape. So let's see here, what can I do? I want this to be a little bit smaller. So let's see, so if I move it over here where this hill is coming down, it ends up needing to be that wide. That might work. So let's just give this a try and see how it rolls. So basically, like I was saying, you want it to be a little bit shorter, and then take this and go to the end here. And like I said, I'm just going to move this over so that this hill kind of touches the edge there. And that should pretty much do it. It should pretty much accomplish the effect. And so you should kind of see the foreground moves a little bit quicker than the middle ground because it's wider, so it has to get across that distance a little quicker. And when you export this, you'll really be able to see the loop. So we want to go to export, export GIF, and then have this project all set and done, turned in on your Google Classroom page. So that's how we get through a little animated loop. Again, you can feel free to be creative with the shapes, the backgrounds. So you could make buildings or any other kind of shapes you can think of going on in your backgrounds of your scenes. So there you go. There you have it. Looping backgrounds in Wick Editor. So hope you guys have fun getting creative with your own assignments.